offer. So here's some of the other questions which I suggest you review in your own time. Who are your non-customers? The people who buy neither from you or from your competition. The ones who are not even in the market at all. Let me give you an example. The biggest non-customer in our society is the person who does not vote. The non-voter, if he could be or she could be induced to the polls in any given election, would determine every single election in our country. But the 35 or 40% of people who never vote themselves are the greatest single voting bloc in the country. The people who are not buying your product or anybody else's product are the greatest single source of new customers if you can find out why it is that they're not buying anything. Why is it that they're not using it? People never thought of buying computers up until a few years ago, and then they came out with computer games. And suddenly everybody went crazy about computer games, and for the first time people thought of buying small computers and taking them home. In other words, they found a way to sell to the non-customer. Why are they non-customers? Why don't they buy? And then ask yourself this question with regard to your customers and to non-customers. When do they buy? When is the best time to sell to your customers? Is it a certain time in the business cycle? Do they buy when business is growing? Do they buy when business is declining? Some services are most appropriately sold when businesses are in difficulty. Some are most appropriately sold when businesses are growing rapidly. So if that's the case, don't try to sell to a business that is in the wrong time of the business cycle. What season of the year do they buy? Do you notice that most ski shops shut down in the summertime? They're not crazy enough to stay there all summer and try to sell to people in the summertime, and they open up again in the winter. What stage of the product life cycle? This is very important. Many customers will buy a product as soon as it comes into the market. Some customers will wait for a while and then buy the product after that. As a matter of fact, there's a scale, and it's like this. It's the impulse buyer. When the product first comes into the market, a few people will buy it immediately. 5 to 10% of people are plungers. They'll try it out whether it's good or not. After the plungers comes the second phase of the market. This is the most profitable phase of all. Many companies that introduce new products don't realize that it's a tough slog getting the product into the market for the first year or 2 years. Then suddenly everybody decides to come in because they see the product, they see that it works, they see that it's not being withdrawn, and a whole lot of people come in, and this is the greatest sales period and the greatest profit period. Then you have the period of maturity, where the latter stage of buyers come into the market, and they come in now that everybody's got one. They decide that it's safe to come in, and they buy a few, but by this time the competition has come into the market. The margins are much narrower, the profits are much slower, the sales are much more competitive, and finally you have what is called your post-mature buyer. Your post-mature buyer is the one who bought the Edsel 2 years after it was discontinued. They don't buy a product or service until it's getting old. They are so careful about buying. This is what you might call your apathetic buyers. We'll talk about a little bit later. They won't buy anything until it's been around for so long that there's not a question in their mind that it's safe to buy it. So you have to ask yourself, what period of the product life cycle does your buyer buy? If your buyer's a plunger, he may buy it early. If he's one who's pretty progressive and forward-looking, he'll buy it after it's become established. He may not buy anything until it's been out for a couple of years, and he may be a post-mature buyer. That's a very important thing, and you can find this out by asking them when they bought other products that they have. When they came into the market, how long have they been doing what they've been doing, they'll tell you. And another thing is, do they buy it when others have recommended the product? Many people will not buy anything until they have a recommendation from somebody they respect. That's why the value of testimonial letters is so high. If you can go to a company in your industry that buys your product and get a letter from the person who has purchased the product and take it to somebody else in the same industry and say, look, the president of ABC company, which sells similar products, has bought one, and here's a letter from him saying how happy he was or how happy she was. By the way, with regard to testimonial letters, the easiest way to get testimonial letters is, first of all, to ask for them and say, would you write me a letter telling me how happy you are? And the second way is to write the letter for the person and ask them if they would type it up on their letterhead and sign it. And you'll be surprised, if your customers are happy and you've taken good care of them, they will take your letter, they may make a couple of corrections in it, they'll have it typed up right there while you wait on their letterhead, and they'll sign it, and you can carry it around in a plastic page. And that plastic page testimonial is worth an hour of you trying to tell the customer yourself how good the product is. That testimonial, if the person is interested, he can call because there's the telephone number right there on the plastic page. So I very strongly suggest that you do this. If you have happy customers, go back to the happy customers, write a nice letter saying, when we were first approached by your company, We were a little bit hesitant about buying the product or service, but we decided to go ahead because we were very impressed with the presentation, and we tried it out, and this is what has happened to us, and we are certainly happy we made the buying decision because these are the results that we have gotten. That kind of a letter is worth its weight in gold, and if you've got half a dozen letters like that, you can double or triple your sales just on referrals, because many people will not buy until they have read a testimonial from somebody that they respect. We've talked about this before. What causes us to go to a new restaurant? It's word of mouth advertising, isn't it? We don't look in the newspapers and say, well, there's an advertisement for a restaurant, let's go and try it out. We wait till we hear somebody else tell us, hey, that's a good restaurant, you should give it a try. That's when we go to the restaurant, isn't it? So if that's when people buy, then be very alert to that. And don't be reluctant to ask your customers or prospects for the answers. Go and sit down with them and ask these questions. Say, look, we're doing some market research and we're talking to some of our most esteemed customers to find out how we can serve them better in the future. Would you answer a few questions for me? Your customers will tell you how to sell additional customers. The people who've bought from you are your very best source of valuable, if not priceless, information to sell to additional people. And most salespeople in their whole careers never think to ask. They sit at home and guess. They hope that what they have is the right answer, and often your customers will tell you, well, I bought it because of this. And you'll say, geez. And you know how often we miss it? They'll say, geez, did you buy it because of that? We say, I'll be darned. And you've been selling it on the basis of something else all along.